lately, and you know where I've come up short. And I thank you for your mercy, your grace, and your love. Help me with the next round of efforts. And God, you know I've got 1,000 thoughts in my head and just one mouth. So help me not waste time here. Just find your river of wisdom and figure out how to best convey that. Thank you for that and for everything you've done and what you're lining up to do. So, I guess first off, the all those tornadoes. There was a couple just here, kind of local, on Saturday, I think. On one, it was a Saturday. I forget what date. And so, if you know me, you know I live for being able to go and help out. So there was two that hit 2 hours north and one that hit about 4 hours east. And of course there was stuff to do. So as soon as I heard about that, I just started running to God and be like, hey, which one am I going to? How long can I stay? What do I need to take? How's this gonna work? And nothing. Nothing. So I kept trying that, and then finally I was like, well, God, I'm gonna go somewhere. So you mind throwing me a bone here and let me know where? So then Monday, I was supposed to, Carrie and I were supposed to FaceTime with some friends in Mississippi at 6:30 that night. Around 3:30, I sent them a message checking in. I said, hey, we all set for our date? And then they're like, well, actually, we just got out of a storm shelter. We just got hit by a tornado. And then it was like, you know those TV shows, the contests where you vie for money, and it's all this, it's just a little stage, and then they make this big production out of it. It was like inside, if you can imagine one of those TV shows where both the light and the sound engineers both had a seizure all over their boards, and then everything in the stage was just freaking out. That's what I felt like inside. It was just, fireworks. That was where I was going to go. So I invited myself over to Mississippi. They were gracious enough to let me stay there to put up with me. And it was, well, I could have done with a shorter drive, but it was what needed to be done. Ended up being like 8 hours each way. That part kind of sucked. I stopped for gas after about 5 hours, I think, and I about got a kiss from the asphalt because my left leg fell asleep. I just kind of leaned over. Well, I learned my lesson on the way back. I got some bright orange compression sleeves from them. Very stylish at the gas stations along the highway. But it was like, I felt like the minute I arrived there, now you just see God's hand through everything. And you ever come across those kindred spirits where you just know you've got everything important in common? Everything. You don't need to have that governorship inside that keeps you from talking about this or from talking about that, just for the interest of maintaining a friendship. Like at work, I can't really talk to those people about God directly. I got to figure out how to sneak it in subtly, which I don't mind, but making a lifestyle out of that ain't ideal. Then there's a lot of stuff I can't talk about with people at the prayer center for all kinds of different reasons. But it wasn't like that with this, with the Tupelo, Mississippi branch of IctusNet. It wasn't like that at all. And I didn't realize how much I missed that until I left. It was just so much fun. I really did enjoy myself. And then I guess I upset some people when I got back here and got back to work. Because like, man, how was your trip? I was like, dude, if I could have, I would have just stayed there and written all you guys off. And I guess some people took that the wrong way. But whatever. I ended up setting it straight with some of them. I guess they didn't realize I was kind of joking. I remember when I was still living in Washington, I was keeping up with the prayer center newsletters, catching up with messages from Dave, from Gary. And I was thinking, man, this prayer center place has got to be phenomenal. I bet it's huge. Who wouldn't want to come listen to this stuff all the time and be there in person? And then I show up, and it's this big metal building that's kind of sinking in because it was built on a landfill. But you know, at least at the prayer center, you can go in there and realize why it's called a sanctuary. It is an easy place to pray in, really easy. It's like a like a greased runway to God. But you know, there's still people that are there for the show. People that like getting prayed for by Dave, like watching the Spirit move. That don't do anything to get to know God themselves, to cultivate an individual relationship. They're just there to be needy. And then they've learned so much head knowledge that they try to disciple other people and satiate their pride. Now, you gotta understand, it's not bad mouthing or gossip. It's just you make sure God has you where you're at, and you're good. It don't matter if you're at the prayer center in person, if you get to drive there several times a week and just sit in the presence of the teaching. It's going to be about God. It's not going to be about the prayer center. I can't even begin to tell you how much good Dave and Gary, Tim, and the leadership in the church, the sound guy Derek, how much good those people have done for me, and how encouraging they've been for me, and just how real and genuine and sincere that they have been for me. They have paved the way for a lot of people. But a lot of people take that for granted. So when I was in Mississippi, I got to help take off the rose-colored glasses about the church. And not that it's a bad place, man. I would not have ever been the person I am today if I didn't put my time in there. Not even close. That was especially probably the first 2 years. I was I was so needy. I was up in the prayer line all the time, all up in Dave's business every time he was praying for people. Which there's definitely time for that for everybody to just break, to deconstruct all of this wrong perspective, wrong thinking, wrong doctrine, wrong ideas that we build up in ourselves, or that we've allowed to build in ourselves, to be built in ourselves. There's I don't even know how many times I just was there at the altar just crying, just cleaning myself out, you know? It was like God was scooping all that nasty, rotten crap out from inside of me, and all I could do was just bawl. There's time for that, but that time shouldn't last 10 years. That was uh, that was something I loved about the Tupelo branch of IctusNet. Man, there's just people that love God, and they're trying to do their best with what they got. And I was trying to do my best to give them what I got. And I told them, man, I was pretty jealous of the unity that they have together and their their times of getting together and just going over stuff from the prayer center. I told the house, I'd love to have something like that. Without the governorship, man, you can just be talking about cars, talking about computers, talking about video games, talking about 100-year-old oak trees that are just blown over by the wind. They're hanging on somebody's car. And then you can always just tie it into God. God isn't a taboo thing. Alcohol's not a taboo thing. Nothing was taboo. There were no stigmas. And every time with most of the people that I have tried to be around, there was well, at the prayer center, there was stigmas. You know, these people coming out of issues like alcoholism or whatever. Obviously, well, it was uncomfortable for them to discuss that kind of thing. Man, I really did have fun down there. There is I have some pictures. I'm sifting through it. That's Pam and Bernard said they were going to set up a slideshow of sorts for it, so that's happening. I'm still trying to catch up on everything. And then I don't even know where these messages came from. Like for a while I've been going through all of Dave's series, and then there was just this unknown album, like 30 messages in it. And it's like, I guess I'll get these out of the way and see what's in them. And most of them are from 2003. Some of them were during the spring conference when they had more than one a year. And some of them were right before the conference, and I'm still kind of sifting through. And then there was one from June 1st, 2003. at the 10 a.m. service. Dave was just talking for a while, just kind of just going in and out of topics, feeling things out, following God. You know how he does. and then he had somebody get up and read a prophecy. It took like 12 minutes to read it, so it's not a short one. I got it on 3 pages. I sent it to my phone, but I decided to just print it out and highlight it the old-fashioned way. And I emailed it to half dozen people. Already heard back from a couple of them. This is exactly what God's been talking to us about. I said, well, I'm glad. Guess I'm not as far off as I was afraid I might be. But I emailed it to Pam and Bernard, so that ought to be a resource up on the website here soon, right beside this the link for the video on InctusNet. And I'm just going to skip around. It's all good. But since I don't want to talk for 5 hours, I'm going to try and whittle it down some. But it's just, you know, even when I was in Mississippi, and I was just, you know, we could just hang out. We didn't have to talk all the time. We didn't have to preach at each other all the time. We could just be cool. And I kept asking God all the time, man, is there something I need to be saying, something I need to be doing? What vein of your thought, of your wisdom do I need to be in right now? And it's just division. Still. Because that's such an optimistic topic that every church in America wants to hear about. But Paul talks about walking circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So how do you do that without being aware of what's going on? And that means not always, it means being able to hear from God about people. And God's going to be honest about it. There's people I work with. God told me they're insecure, vacillating liars that are just selfish and biased. Be their friend anyway. Be the stability that they need. And I was doing good for a while, and then some of that selfish hypocrisy shined through from them, and that's something I'm still working on being gracious about. Because I just don't like hypocrisy. It's a huge testament to a complete lack of integrity. So, things for Pete to work on. There's going to be a lot of people saying all the right buzzwords, all the right verses, acting all the right way, but there's still something about them that just irks you. you can't quite pinpoint. Like, God, what am I just wrong here? Why don't I like this person? You know, like what I've heard Dave say before. The less capacity you have to hurt people, the more God can tell you about them. There's well, let's get to the prophecy first. Prepare yourselves, for in this time that is to come, that is, speaking of this realm indeed, my mind is going to be revealed, and it'll be full of instruction and full of correction. Many will receive calls that have not been fulfilled for many, many generations. Even so, many will hear things for the first time and will proclaim that these things have never been spoken before. But hear what the Lord would say, for all through the centuries I have attempted to declare all that I am. Even for a period of time the truth was lost, and even now it's being restored. Even as time is shortening, and the time on the... Wait, no. Skipped a line. Even as time is shortening, and the time for great change is at hand, be strong, for many will be looking on those things that are coming on the earth with much trouble and much dismay. But not you. Look up, for your greatest days of harvest are at hand, says the Lord. In these times to come, know this, your personal fellowship with me will hold a strong and great place. In that day, your joy must be based on your fellowship and relationship with me. The world won't have much to have joy over, but you that remain in close fellowship with me, even my joy shall be your strength. Therefore, in these times to come, as you look around, don't forget to look up. For as you look up and keep your eyes on me and stay in fellowship with me, these things will come, and they'll pass you by as though they don't even exist. For I am your provider, and happy is he who has learned in these last days that I am your source. Many have decided wrongly to go their own ways and may not have matured, but instead have divided themselves against each other, and many are called by many names. Even as Paul said to the Corinthians, I am of Paul and I am of Apollos, but who are we? In the strife and in the contention, my body is divided up against itself. For are you not on milk? For I have sent my teachers, and I have sent my strong ones who demonstrate, who move in the Spirit, and after my power. And he said, won't you grow up? Won't you come and mature? Many things are happening, and it is the time allotted to move on. That was that line right there made me want to just transcribe the whole thing. That was the hook for me. The time allotted to move on. As it is at the end of any wave and realm, when it's time to enter into the next, many will hold on to the old and drink the milk. But as the mind is coming forth with the sets of instructions, you that have ears to hear what the Spirit would say. Yet many, many will camp on those things that speak of milk, and many will prey on the body of Christ as she continues to die. They have lived off of her corpse, yet there will be those who make me as their source and move on. From these last days, those who hear me and move on shall do great exploits. But be strong, for this is the day that I do emphasize those instructions that put you in fellowship with me indeed. I am your source. But in the days to come, you'll have to know this stronger than any time before. And in this last generation, I am your source. Therefore, enter into fellowship with me, that no matter what you see and no matter what the circumstances dictate in your generation, remember, it's my joy that's your strength. It's my peace that causes you to be immovable. And as your feet are shod with this peace, you'll be able to stand toe-to-toe with the worst of what the enemy has, and not only not surrender your ground, but take the ground away from him that he previously held on to. Move on from milk and don't divide up against each other. For who is it that's your Lord? Who's your master? And who's your teacher, if not I? Watch those who don't say what I say and don't teach what I teach, for they are least in the kingdom, who don't teach what I teach, and they teach other men to do so. But be strong and listen to the inner witness, for again I say it's your fellowship with me. Great joy and peace is the cultivation of the ground that I speak in and lead you through. It's my peace in troubled times that causes you to not move in the wrong direction, but in the right. For he that walks in peace and cultivates that ground can hear my inner witness in the most troubled times. That will be your truest guide. There's a little bit more. We'll see if we get back to that or not. And if you haven't been keeping up with the messages from the prayer center lately, you got to check out Doug Zanstra. You just, you listen to him, and you're like, these principles themselves, I've heard these before, but it's in a different light. I can feel this fire inside, something's stirring up in me. And I love listening to Doug. You can tell he's a guy that spends time with God. And before he started having a microphone there at church, unless he just went on a several-year hiatus of speaking, he and I would talk at church. I would I'd help out with the usher duties, and he was head usher, so we'd just chat sometimes, and we didn't really have anything in common. But listening to him talk, I just, dude, we can go to some coffee shop, some 24-hour restaurant like a Waffle House or something. Just sit there for hours and bang the table and talk about God and what God's done here and what God said to me about this and this and this, and just go back and forth. And it's not about give me all your attention, all your respect, and all your pride. It's a give and take kind of thing. It's like, well, yeah, I really like that. This is how what you're saying coincides with what God said to me. And building each other up and not trying to make it a one-way street. There's that spiritual unity that I know I could have with Doug if we ever, for whatever reason, go out for whatever. Some 24-hour stoner restaurant or wherever, we can just chat about God and not make a parade out of it. And that's what I like. That is, the word fellowship has such a religious twinge to it, but I can't think of a better one yet. If you got one, let me know. But that kind of fellowship, that sort of unity, just transcends walks of life and things we do with our time outside of God, our hobbies, or whatever. We've always got God in common, and it's always a progressive walk. Man, the minute I stopped learning about God, that's when I started listening to demons or just quit listening altogether. So, one thing that really held me back for a long time was getting corrected and religiously, politely chastised for not being kind enough. I've given examples about it before, and I like to go between the eyes, save everybody some time, and you don't have to guess what I meant. Not everybody evidently is as fond of that approach as I am. But it was what I kept seeing in the Bible. Read the prophets, and God shoots pretty straight with Israel. We put Paul in a modern day church. He's talking to the Corinthians, man. He's tearing into them a little bit. He's like, hey, what do you guys want? You want me to come at you with a rod? You want me to set some things straight when I get there? Or you want me to come in a spirit of gentleness and encouragement? It's going to be love either way. But it's your choice whether it's tough love or not. Oh, Paul, you don't understand. You just need to walk in more love. Yeah, okay. Then there's the guy that was kicking people out of church for helping the apostles. And John's like, hey, when I get there, I ain't going to forget what he's doing, and he and I are going to have a little chat. Oh, John, you need some more love. Just keep praying. And then there's Jesus talking to the Pharisees. Hey, your father is the devil. If you loved God, you'd love me. If you listen to God, you'd listen to me. But you don't. Oh, Jesus, you just need more love. Spend some more time praying, Jesus. It's okay. Oh, Jesus. There's when God starts moving, it's going to start with a revival of humility. Because you look at Jesus, washing the disciples' feet in the Gospels. Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve. You know, Paul, you see him, I think it was Galatians, he started ripping into them. As I kind of read like all four of those shorter ones, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. For some reason, I just kind of read through them all at once and then start over and read all four again. So somewhere in there, Paul's talking about having to fill up what is lacking in the afflictions of Christ because these people are being kind of lazy and apathetic. No, Paul just needs more love. It was about serving. I mean, you get a taste of God, and you figure out what it is God loves, what it is that matters to God. You can't help but do your best to be that bridge between God and people. Every different person has a different need, man. You talk to God, God, how can I bridge this gap between you and them? What does this person need me to be for you? How can I represent you to this person? And that's what it's about. Money? What's that matter if you know you're doing what God needs you to do? So there's going to be a revival of humility first. And that's what's going to prepare a lot of things. After that, man, things are just going to start falling into place. But these people that try and force their way into a position of leadership, they don't even understand what God's about. And if they want to, they are open to correction. And if they want to get all butthurt and prideful about it, man, let them. It's God first. Emotions are somewhere down the line. Well down the line. A lot of people think, I mean, you got the fivefold. It don't take much to realize the apostolic call is not the crap we see on TV. Just read 2 Corinthians. For I consider that we've been made the offscouring of the earth. That's what Paul said. We're like that grime in the kitchen. That's basically what he was saying. Prophets, man, despite the video game caricatures and even the ones that believe in the prophet call, it's not about some weird brown robe and a walking stick or something. It's just when every once in a while God just throws some prophetic stuff at me, I'll just sit down and just go. And most of the time, when he knows I get the point, I get to choose the words to put it in. And it's not King James. Ever. It used to be. And then I realized that I can hear him better when I realize he talks to me the way I talk to myself or talk to other people around me. Like a friend. But that humility, man, that's going to be a trademark God attribute. You want to be a pastor? About forcing your way in front of people and thinking it's all about talking and teaching and the glory from people. Never mind that you're basically the plumber for these people's emotions. You get to deal with all the crap that just comes out that you get to help dig out. You get to be the conduit of grace between these people and God. And you think they're not going to try and burn that bridge because their emotions are setting them on fire? You don't know what a pastor is. Those are the ones that get real down and dirty with individuals, just cleaning up their soul, just getting all that crap out, making room for God in their emotions, in their heart, in their believing, in their doctrine, in their soul. And it's about bringing them up to your level so they can find their own calling. Not about having somebody to come listen to you a few times a week because you think you know something. So anyway, I guess we can go back to reading this prophecy. The devil, knowing that he has a short time, he will cause all kinds of havoc. But don't be afraid for your loved ones, for I'll have my hand and my protection upon them. So, no matter what it looks like, don't faint in your heart. Just look up to me and know that the day is coming when they'll receive me as their Lord. You know, with this more and more broad advent of truth, there's a much higher standard of accountability that comes along with that truth. You can know all the truth in the world. If you don't apply it, man, you may as well just be fodder. God can't help you. You just pushed him away. You're like, God, I don't need to turn this into wisdom. I know everything there is to know. Yes. Glory. That kind of pride, man, that keeps us all head knowledge and doesn't go down to your heart and allow that progressive walk with God, you're going to find yourself in a pretty ugly situation. Well, you'll start with one ugly situation. Because along with that truth and with that accountability, there's a little less grace. People that know how to hear God, it's a lot harder to plead ignorance. When you hear God tell you to do something, and you're pretty well set in you that you believe it was God, even if it takes a while to get that established, and you're still trying to hide your head in the sand, you're going to have nobody to blame but yourself. When the devil comes along and kicks you in the butt, you're going to start bawling for God, and why have you abandoned me? God's going to be like, well, you put me on the sidelines. You know, I'm right here if you want to hand up, but your choice. We can look at these ugly situations and we can pretend God put us in them to teach us something. Or we can just say, God, I don't know what the problem is, man. I don't know if I drug myself into this blindly because I was being stupid or what. But what can I learn from this, and how can I keep it from happening again? I don't care whether it was you, the devil, or my own stupid fault. What do I need to learn from this? And what do I need to change? It's going to be about that fellowship, that one-on-one relationship with God. And then, man, when I started driving back to Tulsa, I did not want to leave Mississippi, man. I felt home there. I really did. I got on the highway, you know, and I could just cruise for a while and let my mind wander. I just started thinking about how much I enjoyed that company and everything about it. God reminded me of what is it? 7, 8, 9 years ago, where I just felt alone, just asking God, like, God, I just want friends. But I don't want to have to sacrifice anything to get them. I want friends. I want that deep connection. Like what I have with you, God, I want that with people, with you in the middle of it. And I felt like that's what was going on with the Tupelo branch of IctusNet Live. I hope I'm right. Otherwise, it's just a testament to how oblivious and self-absorbed I was for the entire trip. So, I guess we'll see how that one pans out. But God just reminded me of that, and how I just cried out in my heart for I don't know how long to God within that first couple of years of me living here for just friends. And there it was. And it's like, I could have been scared or uncomfortable about making this drive by myself to a place I've never been, to stay with people I'd never even met in person. Like I just text and email. I could have had reasons to stay, but I couldn't ignore that explosion inside when it's just, I knew it was God. It was like an arrow, just go. Like my whole inside just lit up. And those people, man, those kind of friendships, that was something that I just kind of, well, to be honest, I forgot God even told me about it, that they were coming. Yeah, I just forgot what it was like to not have that governorship in my mind about, I gotta compartmentalize what I can talk about around these groups and these groups. And man, that was just like a present straight from God. I so enjoyed that. Not that I'm hoping they get another tornado. I'm sure I can find another reason to go visit if I'm invited. But that fellowship, man, that one-on-one time with God. I mentioned my own dark days, and we've all, every one of us. You make a habit out of praying, God's going to keep giving you choices. Like, hey, I see, I see you love this thing over here. Which one do you love more, me or that? And then God just kind of goes and hangs out in a chair over to the side and lets you weigh your options. I really like that, God, but I just, you're pretty cool too, and man, that's when we really count the cost. And that was what my dark days were about, just God digging deeper and deeper. I didn't understand it until recently, but it was just, I keep praying, I can keep digging down and hit something, and then God's like, hey, which one you like more, me or that? The deeper I go, man, well, the more I find the stuff that I thought meant something to me was getting between me and God. I used to think even 2 months ago I couldn't stop, man. I can't replace God. I blah 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 blah. But now I just it's like God moved in. We're not just co-workers or friends that meet up on a regular basis. Now we're roommates. Now it feels like a marriage. I couldn't imagine now doing this stuff without God. I couldn't imagine not hearing God. I've never ever ever felt closer to Him, and I don't even know how much more there is to go. But I know if God's as infinite as He implies, I ain't even scratched the surface. That is so exciting to think about. So, fellowship with God, it's worth the sacrifice, well worth the sacrifice. And man, it don't take long. You start praying, especially if you start trying to make church friends. There's going to be people that try and use you as their stepping stone up into a ministry. Feel free to call them out. You know, you can try and do it in love, but, well, yeah, try and do it in love. But God never intended for other people to be somebody's pet project. We're all in progress, and we're all learning. But that don't give somebody the right to go walking on top of you. That is not what ministry is about. There's no reason for a Christian to let that happen. No matter if other people think you need to be walking in more love or not. Yeah, maybe you do, but that don't give anybody else the right to see us as stepping stones. So we can deflate them some. Anyway, I think that's about it now. I think. So, love you guys, and those who kept the tornado people in the front of their mind. Man, that was another thing that was cool. It was an F3 that went through Tupelo, or Tupelo, or Tupelo. I guess there's like 8 different pronunciations, but the locals say Tupelo. I'm good with that. There was not a single fatality. There was one county that wasn't even, nobody got hurt. And the worst injury I heard about, somebody said one person broke an arm or something, some kind of a appendage, and then ended up needing 30 or 40 stitches, I think. And that was it. And then it was the day before I started driving down there. Somebody called me up and was talking about prayer, talking a little about intercession, and they were like, usually it's just a quick moment, just like a flash, and I'd pray a real quick prayer, and that's the end of it, move on with my day. And this time it just did not let go felt like forever. I don't know how long it was, several minutes, and I just kept going and kept going and kept going. I didn't know what was going on. And then I go down there, and I share some stories with them about how people up here that I knew had prayed. They just kind of felt God pulling them aside and just praying the real deep kind of praying, where it's almost like your mouth feels constipated, you just can't quite form the words, but God's trying to push something out of there. And I go down there, and some of them had the same experience before the tornado. And then we ended up going to several different houses. I want to say it may not have been a full dozen. I was only there for 4 days to help out. But It seemed like every single person we talked to was just amazed how there was no loss of life. And some of them attributed it to God, some of them just kind of left it at that. They're like, it's amazing that that happened. We talked to one guy, he said he had to dig his neighbor out of 8 feet of rubble. I thought sure she was all busted up. I kept digging stuff off, and she was like, ouch! And I kept digging, and then finally I got to her, and then she just needed some stitches. That's good Southern people. I thought that was pretty cool. It's worth giving some of your time to God every once in a while. Well worth it. Especially when you got that confusion at first. I don't know why I'm doing this. I feel like I'm wasting my time. This is a blah. And then all of a sudden, 3 days later, your friends are in a storm shelter dealing with a tornado. You're like, huh? Well, thanks for letting me participate in that, God. Yeah. Now I think I'm done. So, love you guys. Thank you for bearing with me in my folly. And until next time, peace.